Hey, and welcome back to Wild Mythology. I welcome you to the channel with bread and salt. Today's video is going to be part 2 of where we cover every single creature from Norse mythology and Scandinavian folklore. But before we get to that, don't forget to join this month's mythology giveaway for Neil Gaiman's book on Norse mythology. An awesome 300-page book filled with the most famous myths, gods, and creatures from Norse mythology. All you have to do to join our giveaway is subscribe and leave a comment on this video. Plus, somewhere in this video is our mythology scavenger question. Answer the question correctly in the comments and you'll get an extra ballot for a chance to win the giveaway. So keep an eye or your ears out for that. Now, I think it's time to get to the creatures of Norse mythology. Number 1. The Jötunn. The Jötunn are a race of mythical giants in Norse mythology that are usually either in conflict with the gods or are united with them through marriage and friendship. Appearance-wise, it's hard to describe what a Jötunn looks like since they are natural shapeshifters and enjoy taking many shapes. They can appear the same size of men or as large giants that stand many feet tall. It can also have a varying degree of features that are non-human-like, examples being large fangs, claws, extra heads, and twisted facial features. As well as having multiple descriptions, there are different types of Jötunns that live around the 9 realms. Fire giants like Surt, frost giants like Ymir, and other types such as earth giants and storm giants. In mythology, before there was anything, there was only the Great Gap. Then from the gap came the realm of fire, Muspelheim, and the realm of ice, Niflheim. It was at this point that perhaps the fire giant Surt came into existence. He is the king of the fire realm, the future killer of the god Freyr, and the one who will light the earth on fire during Ragnarok. As the heat from the fire realm mixed with the cold mist of the ice realm, Ymir, the forefather of the giants, came into existence. And as the sweat from underneath his armpits fell to the ground, Ymir's first children came into existence. The Jötunn ruled both realms until the half-giants Odin and his brothers attacked Ymir. Working together, the three were able to kill Ymir, causing his blood to drown all the giants except for a mated pair. Odin and his brothers formed the earth with Ymir's body parts, while the 2 Jötunn who survived the flood repopulated the giants on Jotunheim, the realm of mountains. As well as the creation myth, the Jötunn appear in pretty much every myth in Norse mythology. Other important Jötunn to note are Utgard Loki, a giant king on Jotunheim, Jord, the Jötunn goddess of the earth and mother of Thor, the trickster god Loki and his beastly children, and finally Besla, the mother of Odin. Number 2. The Nøkken. Nøkkens, also referred as Nox, Nex, Nikur, and Nixies, are shape-shifting water spirits from Scandinavian folklore. Having the ability to take any form they wish, Nøkkens are known to play music on violins that enchant men, women, and children, making them travel deep into rivers and lakes, and as they go deeper in the water, they never notice that they're drowning themselves. While there are many malevolent Nøkkens, there are also Nøkkens who have no desire to harm humans and just enjoy playing beautiful music. In fact, in some legends, a Nøkken will marry a human, although it usually ends with a separation if there isn't a body of water nearby to keep the Nøkken alive. According to legend, if one wants to learn how to play the beautiful music of a Nøkken, they have to bring the Nøkken 3 drops of blood, some vodka, and a black animal. The most favored form Nøkkens take are the shapes of a handsome man or a beautiful horse. Malicious Nøkkens will use this human form to seduce young women to father new water spirits with, and then afterwards drown the women. In their horse forms, which are extremely similar to the Kelpies from Celtic mythology, Nøkkens will pretend to be docile and allow humans to pet them. The humans will then find themselves stuck to the horse and then pulled to the bottom of a lake. The best way to deal with a Nøkken is by recognizing what creature you are dealing with and yelling out its name. The Nøkken will then become extremely weak. Another way to deal with them is by carrying iron, a substance that is extremely poisonous to a Nøkken. Number 3. Sleipnir. Sleipnir is the eight-legged horse steed of Odin, the king of the gods, and is the child of Loki and the stallion Vörðr. Sleipnir is considered the greatest and fastest horse in all Norse mythology. In myth, a builder told the gods that he could build a great wall to keep out intruders from Asgard. In return for his work, the giant wanted the sun, the moon, and Freya, the goddess of love. The gods agreed to the deal but placed a condition on the builder, telling him that he had only 3 days to accomplish his task, and that he could not have help from any other man. The builder agreed, but asked the gods if his horse Vörðr could help him pull the great stone bricks to the correct location. The trickster god Loki answered for the gods, telling the builder it could. Over the next 2 days, the builder almost completed the wall with the help of Vörðr's great strength, making the gods worried. They blamed Loki because he allowed the builder to be assisted by his horse. The gods then threatened Loki, telling him that if he didn't find a way to stop the builder, they would kill him. Scared for his life, Loki transformed into a beautiful mare, and on the 3rd day he appeared in front of the builder's stallion. Seeing the mare, the stallion's instinct went into overdrive, and he began to chase the transformed Loki. Loki led the stallion deep into the woods, running as far as he could. Without the help of his horse, the builder was unable to finish his job, and he was eventually found out to be a giant and was killed by Thor. As for Loki, well, not soon after, he gave birth to Sleipnir. It's also interesting to point out that Grani, a descendant of Sleipnir's, became the steed for Sigurd, the legendary dragon slayer. Number 4. Tanngrisnir and Tanngnjóstr. Tanngrisnir and Tanngnjóstr are the 2 goats that pull the chariot of Thor, the god of thunder. According to myth, Thor cooks the 2 goats to provide nourishment for himself and others. After the meal, Thor lays the bones of the goats upon their skinned pelts, and then the next day uses his hammer to cast a spell that resurrects them good as new. In one myth, Thor and Loki stop to rest from a journey at the home of a farmer and his family. Thor cooks his goats and offers the family to come join him and Loki for a meal, but the young son of the farmer splits one of the bones of the goats to get at its marrow. The next day, when the goats are resurrected, Thor notices that one of the goats has a lame leg. Seething with anger for the boy's disrespect of his goat's bones, Thor clenched his hammer tight, an action that made the family beg for mercy. Calming down, Thor took the young boy and his older sister as servants in return for the disrespect. Hey, it's time for our mythology scavenger question. Here's the question. Who are the 3 Norse gods that judged the 3 treasures made by the dwarves Brock and Itri? Make sure to comment your answer so you can get an extra ballot to win this month's giveaway. Now, back to the creatures of Norse mythology. Number 5. The Valkyries. Valkyries are female warriors who are the servants of Odin. Their main duty is to collect the souls of those who died in battle and deliver them to Folkvangar, the afterlife of Freya, or Valhalla, the afterlife of Odin. Once a soul reaches the afterlife, they become one of the Einherjar, soldiers who will someday help the gods in the final battle of Ragnarok. But until then, they spend their time in one of the afterlives, refining their skills in battle and having great feasts where the Valkyries provide them mead. In mythology, the Valkyries are known to travel between Asgard and the Earth, dressed in armor while riding on white horses that can run on thin air. There's also many myths of Valkyries becoming lovers of famous heroes. One such myth involves Brynhilda, the most famous Valkyrie in Norse mythology. In the myth, Brynhilda angered Odin because she killed a king who the god didn't want to die. So Odin cursed her with a sleeping spell and declared that she would have to marry a mortal man. But before the sleeping spell took effect, Brynhilda declared that she would only marry a man who knew no fear. One day, the dragon slayer Sigurd came upon the sleeping Brynhilda, and he awakened the Valkyrie. Brynhilda then taught Sigurd runes, and the two declared that they would marry each other after Sigurd finished his adventure. In some versions, Sigurd impregnates Brynhilda with a child before he returns to his adventure. Unfortunately, Sigurd later on drinks a potion that makes him forget about Brynhilda. After some time, Sigurd marries a woman named Gudrun, whose brother Gunnar is very interested in Brynhilde. Forgetting his time with the Valkyrie, Sigurd agrees to help his brother-in-law in wooing Brynhilde. So they make their way to the mountain where she lives, but Brynhilde has surrounded her tower with a wall of flame, declaring that only a man with no fear may enter. Gunnar is too afraid to pass through the flame, so Sigurd magically changes his face to look like Gunnar's, and he passes through. Still in love with Sigurd, but having to honor her word, Brynhilde marries Gunnar. Eventually though, Brynhilde discovers the trick Sigurd pulled, and so she tricks Gunnar into killing Sigurd. As Sigurd is sent off on a funeral pyre, Brynhilde's heart breaks and she throws herself on the pyre to be with her love forever. Number 6. Dáinn, Dvalinn, Duneyrr, and Duraþrór are 4 stags that live on the top branches of the world tree Yggdrasil. According to mythology, they eat the leaves from Yggdrasil's branches, and during the beginning of the day, morning dew will drip down from their antlers, which are the sources of many rivers amongst the 9 realms. One theory suggests that the 4 stags were originally just one buck that stood atop Valhalla eating Yggdrasil's leaves. The name for that singular stag is Sleipnir. Number 7. Nisses. Nisses are tiny creatures from Scandinavian folklore. They are always depicted as 2 feet tall men with white beards that wear bright-colored cone-like hats. They resemble gnomes and are relatable to the Scottish brownies. Nisses usually live on farms, and if they're treated kindly, they will help protect the family that owns the farm and their livestock, as well as help out with farm chores. But if a Nisse is treated with poor respect, it will pull pranks on the family and will even kill off the livestock if pushed too far. Despite their height, Nisses are incredibly strong and also easily offended. If a farmer is too lazy, mistreating the animals, or is doing their chores incorrectly, the Nisse that lives at the farm will feel slighted and correct the behavior through any means necessary. During the winter solstice, it was a tradition to gift a Nisse a bowl of porridge. If a gift wasn't offered to a Nisse, the Nisse would then leave the farm for good or punish the farmers. Of all the farm animals, a Nisse's favorites are the horses. Legend has it that they would braid a horse's mane and that anyone who undid it would be cursed with misfortune. Number 8. Sköll and Hati. Sköll and Hati are the 2 wolf children of the great wolf Fenrir and an unnamed giantess. In mythology, Sköll and Hati forever chase Sol, the goddess of the sun, and Mani, the god of the moon, around the earth. It is said that the 2 wolves will eternally chase the god and goddess until the time of Ragnarok, where Sköll will swallow Sol and Hati will swallow Mani. Number 9. The Vörðr. The Vörðr are guardian spirits that stick with a person from birth to death in Scandinavian folklore. According to legend, every person has a Vörðr, and they are responsible for keeping their charge safe. Apparently, only those with extremely fine senses are able to perceive their own Vörðr and the Vörðr of others. For those who don't have excellent senses, a sign of a Vörðr can be an itchy nose or anxiety. Supposedly, a Vörðr that did a terrible job as a guardian could possibly become a revenant, a reanimated corpse that runs on instinct. And there it is, I give you more creatures from Norse mythology. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like us to cover something from mythology, folklore, or legend, make sure to leave a comment and we'll add it to our video list. Well, that's all for now. Until next time on Wild Mythology.